Hi everyone. Today we have Franklin Gaglione from Lake Forest College with us, and Lake Forest College, Franklin will tell you much more about it, but I have to say I've been to the campus before. Beautiful, beautiful place, right outside of Chicago, right or in the Chicago suburbs. And I'm thrilled that you're here today, Franklin, because we've had students in the past who've applied to Lake Forest. We have a student who's going to be a freshman there this year, and I just am excited to hear what's going on, what's new and exciting at Lake Forest.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Kristina. I really appreciate the chance to join virtually today and talk a little bit about Lake Forest. And I think what I do with our time is do two things, really. Number one, I want to sort of forward my slide here, talk a little bit about kind of the basics of Lake Forest. And rather than kind of go through every little minutia, I want to also name kind of the major things that I think really help make us distinctive among a lot of great liberal arts colleges out there, and then share a little bit about our incoming class and what's also new on campus to wrap things up. So to get things started, who are we at Lake Forest College? By location, like Kristina said, we are just outside of Chicago. We're 30 miles north of downtown, right along the beautiful lake shore of Lake Michigan. So you can walk 10 minutes one direction to the train into downtown Chicago and 10 minutes the other direction to the beach. So it's a lovely location, a beautiful campus. Our student body is about just under 1,600 total students from over 40 states and over 70 countries. The majority of our students come from outside the state of Illinois, actually. So for any of our students that are viewing this, you live outside, you will not be a minority on campus. We really do pride ourselves on a heavily diverse student body. We're heavily residential. About 75% of our students live on campus. And one other thing that I'll discuss later is our pride in our career placement rate. We place about 96% of our students within 6 months of graduation into a job or graduate school. For our most recent graduating class, it was actually 99%. So another piece that I really love to share about the college and why I think it can make it such a great option for our students. So as I said before, I want to name four things that make us really unique, frankly. It is our pragmatism, it is our location in Chicago, it is our commitment to career preparation, and our commitment to diversity through a lot of different lenses as well. So when I first off talk about pragmatism, at Lake Forest, I want to add it within the context of a wonderful liberal arts college. In many ways, I argue that Lake Forest will pass the eye test of any strong liberal arts college with the commitment to small classes, an average class of about 17 or 18 students, a small student to faculty ratio of 12:1, and really a commitment to a relational academic environment where you will have an academic advisor from the day you set foot on campus. You're able to major in up to 2 programs while minoring in another, or having 1 major and 2 minors. So the flexibility and relationships that we know students really sort of hope for in a small college is guaranteed. When I discuss a pragmatic approach, Lake Forest really prides itself on taking a very modern lens and a modern interpretation to liberal arts as well. And one way I say this is sort of how we structure and frame our academic programs. On one hand, you'll find all of the traditional academic programs that you'd find at a great liberal arts college. We have a wonderful English major, our mathematics program is very strong, the physics major is really great, biology laboratories are wonderful. You know, these traditional disciplines that really govern students to think for themselves, to think creatively, to work well in others, to communicate effectively, the things that really drive a liberal arts college are there. But what you're also going to find are some more contemporary majors, like a major in finance, like a major in entrepreneurship, like a major in data science. Very, in many ways, industry-driven and appealing majors to students who, while still valuing all the things that a liberal arts college does, also really do have more of a thirst for a broader set of options that is not always available at other liberal arts colleges. In addition to this sort of academic program pragmatism, the way in which you learn at Lake Forest is also going to be very hands-on. We really prioritize getting students out of the classroom as much as we prioritize their experience in the classroom. This is related to things like internships, like research opportunities, like study abroad, and like our In the Loop program, which I'll discuss later on. These are just a few examples of some of the great things students can do to take their learning outside of the text they're reading in class, the examples that faculty use. And it's actually a requirement for every Lake Forest College student to have one, what we call an experiential learning component to their time at the college. And that can be an internship, that can be research on campus or with a partner institution. It can be a really broad thing, off-campus study experience as well. So while we do value the importance of taking your 4 classes every semester while building toward a major and the skills that come with academic curiosity and discipline, we also know that students learn so well by doing, and that component of doing, I think, really is a seminal piece of what makes a Lake Forest student special, and additionally what we look for in the admission process as well. Can I clarify that for you at all, Kristina, or maybe, I'm not sure if you have any questions about sort of what I mean by pragmatism.
Nope, you did a great job. Thank you.
Oh, okay, wonderful. In addition to kind of this pragmatic approach to the liberal arts that we really take, we also really want to stress the importance of our location and our proximity to Chicago. Chicago, for those that aren't aware, is our third largest city in America, and we occupy a really sort of unique position geographically. Many small liberal arts colleges are wonderful for their communities, but also can be very regionally isolated. They may be very hard to access much beyond. I went to a small private liberal arts college that I loved, but there was only one stoplight and one grocery store in town, and at times it felt a little limiting. That's something that I know our students do not experience at Lake Forest. First off, we're 30 miles north, so you actually, from campus, can see the Sears Tower from campus, so it's always there, it's always present. And it's just a 10-minute walk to the train line, and that's called the Metro, which is our commuter rail line. You might be familiar with the L, which you've seen in movies or media. This is sort of our supplementary train line that goes a little bit further out. That train will get you into Chicago in a little less than an hour, so you can be out of your bed to downtown in just over an hour, and we really not only sort of facilitate experiences for students through the college with a large number of class trips, with sort of encouragement to go to events, to baseball games and sports games and things like that. We also, have a full Center for Chicago programs that provides discounted tickets to the Metro and really encourages students to go out and do their own exploration as well. Actually, one of my very favorite things about every year is during new student orientation, we have Chicago Day, where we take the entire freshman class on one train into downtown Chicago and rent out like multiple train cars, and it is an amazing sight to watch over 400 bodies standing at the train stop, all of them getting on the train at once and all riding downtown. So for any students here, though, that may be a little bit less familiar and comfortable with public transportation, using a train system, we will make sure that that's something that's explained to you and is more familiar, once you settle in on campus a little bit.
I love that. I think that's so smart. That is a legitimate fear sometimes for students who are going somewhere that has a little bit more of an urban feel than what they're used to, or actually relies on public transportation. A lot of people don't grow up in areas where they're used to doing that. So I love that you do that. And how do your students end up deciding which baseball team they're going to root for?
Ooh, that's a big question. Geographically, the Cubs are a little bit closer. So I think maybe perhaps that they did win the World Series more recently. So they've got more of the bandwagon effect on their side right now. But the Sox they channel the blue collar working class vibe of Chicago a little bit more. And admittedly, Sox tickets are a little bit cheaper than Cubs tickets. So if you're going for a value purchase, a Sox game is just as good as a Cubs game as far as I'm concerned. And I'm actually a Cleveland Indians fan, where my family is from. So I'll go to either one very happily.
I'm with you.
Yeah. The last piece I'll add about Chicago that I think is really a tremendous experience is our In the Loop program, which I referenced at the bottom. So what Lake Forest does is actually maintain year-round a residential space in downtown Chicago. So about 30 students every semester have the ability to participate in the In the Loop program, which in addition to essentially guaranteeing a full-time job through a guaranteed internship, also guarantees to not disrupt any academic progress at all. So the residential space offers full apartments with kitchens, an academic center, a gym, all the sort of basic needs that students can have, but also guaranteed enrollment partnerships with the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Roosevelt University, and DePaul University. So if students do have courses with their major that are important to take, they can take courses at partner universities while still having this kind of urban study abroad experience that many residential liberal arts college students are not able to have. So we really think of it as being able to have it both ways, with having that, cozy, warm, connected feel of a residential college, but also the ability to have this sort of urban downtown, experience at the same time. So the next piece that I always discuss is our commitment to career preparation. And it can be a little bit, I think, not the first thing you think of for some students, because it can be a little bit sort of funny to think about what you do after college before you even select the college you're attending. But at Lake Forest, progressing necessarily. So at Lake Forest, we really think it's important to ensure not only students have a wonderful growth experience while they're at the college, but they're also positioned to be successful when those 4 years of joy and wonder do eventually come to an end. So in terms of how we think about career preparation, First off, it comes from the day you set foot on campus. I even have prospective students all the time that will have meetings with our career professional staff to really pull back the curtain of, what does the internship search process look like? How do we assist students applying to graduate school? So you're not sort of playing the guessing game when you are yourself, a college student, but you can really get to know the people who will be assisting you throughout your time. The other piece that we did is really beef up the number of staff that we have on campus. We have 11 professional staff who work only in career services at Lake Forest, which is double the proportion for institutions of our size nationally. So I always tell students there's a person there for you. It's really easy to get in touch with the people that are really going to be walking you through this process from day one. And we also, frankly, reinvented the wheel in terms of how students do career advising on a national scale. So rather than students coming to Lake Forest and meeting with more of a generalist career advisor who would be assisting a prospective business student, for example, also be assisting a pre-med student and an education student, we have sort of specialized all of those skills so that we have specific pathways in business and finance, communication and creative arts, law and public service, science and healthcare, and a specialized build your own pathway as well. So our staff are specifically tailored to unique industries and are able to really go into a more intimate layer of understanding with some industries, alumni relationships, and partner organizations than may be the case at other institutions. And it's why we argue that, or it's one of the many reasons why we argue we are so successful from a career preparation standpoint. We also bring a lot of the big events to campus with events like speed networking, which is kind of like speed dating, but there are 300 employers in the room that you can talk to, and a career palooza, which is basically we empty out the entire varsity basketball gym and fill it exclusively with alumni and friends of the college who are helping students, maybe shake off the rust or sharpen their interviewing skills as they, near that application season in the springtime.
And I just want to say, going back to the number of staff that you have, that's incredible. I have, as someone who has visited hundreds of colleges, I will say that having that number of staff for the number of students you have is, I think, something that families should really take note of. I mean, I really do think that that's something that's distinguishing about you. So that's great. I love that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And they're wonderful people. They're great to work with. They're so student focused, and they're, always happy to assist and very flexible. And then the last piece that I add is the diversity at the college. So for those that have been around Lake Forest, we're situated on Lake Forest North Shore, which is a beautiful area. And, in many ways doesn't frankly elicit the idea that we would have the most diverse student body. But I would argue that Lake Forest is one of, if not the most diverse liberal arts college in the Midwest. By percentage, from a racial ethnic identity standpoint, almost 40% of our domestic students identify as students of color. 15% of our students are international students. And from a wealth profile standpoint, about 35% of our students identify as Pell eligible. So we have really positioned ourselves as an admissions unit to be an appealing option for students, not only when they enter the college, but to sustain them during their time there as well. So for students out there that, either feel that they identify with one of these, groups and they want to make sure they're represented on campus, or they simply value diversity as an important component of their development and what a college should represent. It's something that Lake Forest very strongly represents in their student body, but also in a number of our campus organizations and initiatives that the college runs internally. So a core component to the college is a commitment to diversity, for sure.
Can I ask about first generation students? Do you have a high number of first gen students?
We do. I mean, frankly, many of the identities I listed before, for a lot of reasons, happen to overlap with the first generation student identity. Yeah. I don't have an exact number, but I would argue it's at least 1/3 of the student body are first generation students. If anything, it might be higher. So we are certainly a college that enrolls a large number of first generation students, but has a lot of programming to help assist them as well. So one is a pre-orientation program called First Connection, where not only first generation, but a number of other traditionally minoritized students in higher education move into campus a week early and have a full program based around helping their transition to college. But also a program called Forester First, where every member of our faculty and staff who are themselves first generation have a sign on their door and sort of sign an agreement of an open door policy to help support those students as well, and sort of better represent that they are not alone as they embark on a really new experience for the first time.
I love that. When I visited campus, but speaking of international diversity, my tour guide was a student from Germany, and she was a senior that year, and she had an amazing experience, and she had so many great stories about her time at Lake Forest, and was really very happy about the whole experience, and really valued the diversity as well.
I'm glad to hear that. It's not just me
Mhm.
saying that. That's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
lovely. So those are, again, kind of our four big things to talk about. I quickly want to run through, what does our incoming class look like? It's about 421 first-year students, just under 100 transfer students. About half come from outside of Illinois, about half come from inside. About 18 countries represented. For any varsity athletes out there, almost 1 in 5 students are varsity athletes. So we have a wonderful commitment to athletics on campus, including, and I'll mention it more, but new varsity programs in women's and men's lacrosse coming this fall, or this coming fall, the fall of 2021. And outside of Illinois, our most populous states are Arizona, California, Colorado, Michigan, and Missouri. So we really do draw from a distance, not just kind of what I call kind of the collar states, the ones that sort of touch Northern Illinois and are closest. And we are thrilled to sort of turn the page and start over. We're very, very excited about this incoming class. A little about kind of who we're looking for students that are beginning to embark on that application process. In many ways, we are looking for strong students with a strong high school transcript. We are optional for standardized testing. I'm always sure to mention that. We have been optional since 2006, so we are really well adapted to a test optional admissions environment. We want students who are strong writers and are working hard to become strong writers. We want students who have a commitment to their community. And when I talk about sort of a resume, a recommendation letter, those sort of attributes, we look for students who are doers, is kind of the way I put it. We want students who are not afraid to stick their necks out there. They're not afraid to take a risk. They're not afraid to fail. Those are the students that we feel really can be successful. So I say we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for students that are, willing to stick their necks out there through the admission process. And I'm always happy to talk with students in a little bit more about that.
Can I ask a question about activities?
Of course.
So in current times, obviously the students are it's a very different landscape in terms
Absolutely.
of extracurricular activities as it has been in the past. What do you want to see students doing right now? When they're unable to do what they're traditionally doing?
That's an excellent question. And I think that it is so situational to the students' sort of experience and what sort of they have available to them. We know there are many students who, they can't go volunteer at the food shelter, at the food bank they volunteer at. They cannot be a part of Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. They cannot play varsity sports in many cases. So we don't expect students to reinvent their interests overnight. But, we do love to see students who have, where there has been idle time created, what are you doing to take advantage of that time where you're also taking care of yourself? So, and it doesn't have to be, that you started a new 501c3. It doesn't need to be that you learn how to play 3 instruments and speak 2 languages. It can be other new hobbies that you found interesting. You love to bake bread. You learned how to knit. We think those are, you spent more time with your family and took on extra family obligations. We see value in all of those things. So you don't need to be, it's not just sort of an achievement perspective with it as well. We just, we want to be very flexible in how we think about activities, particularly in the COVID climate that we live in currently.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So a couple of last things, and this is sort of a bit about what's coming at Lake Forest. What are things to be excited about? First off, another major building project is getting off the ground. So if you are to look at a map of Lake Forest College, you will see Young Hall, which is the largest and oldest building on campus. It's the large yellow building when you drive in the main drive. It's very stately and Victorian looking. It is getting an $18 million facelift and renovation. So on the back side of the building, 3 stories of over 10,000 square feet of academic and multi-purpose space are being built in, which will move our career center to the middle of campus, bring all of our classrooms up to the 21st century. It is an older building, so they had a lot of sort of older charm that we loved, but I think the addition of whiteboards will be welcomed to most of our students on campus. So that project will be completed by the fall of 2021. I mentioned it briefly, but varsity lacrosse is coming to campus in the fall of 2021. There's a brand new turf field being constructed by our athletics center. A new locker rooms being added for the athletes on campus. So we're really excited for actually the return of varsity lacrosse. Lake Forest had varsity lacrosse until, I believe, the early 1990s, and it took a bit of a hiatus, but we're glad to bring it back. We have a groundbreaking new partnership with Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science, which is a health science university just 3 miles from our campus. And it's sort of taking two forms. Number one is the Master of Entry to Nursing program. That's a 2-year program after Lake Forest, that a direct entry program is being created. And the Health Profession program, which is a broad sort of campus-wide initiative to better educate students on the number of health profession opportunities that are out there. We found that many students entering Lake Forest they wanted to be doctors, they wanted to be dentists. They weren't really familiar with how many other jobs and professions can exist in the industry of healthcare. So the program is designed to both, better broaden the scope of what can be done, but also deepen the opportunities that they have as pre-health students. And that includes increased research opportunities on campus and prospective admissions agreements down the road with their medical school, PT school, pharmacy school, and other health programs that they offer as well. Then last year in the fall of 2019, we opened a new major in data science, which is highly interdisciplinary and includes tracks in economics, mathematics, and financial modeling. So for students that really love the idea of working with data and are looking for a really cool way to apply it through a liberal arts lens, we're very, very excited about this new program and the opportunities it'll provide for students. I think that's all I have in terms of content to provide. Of course, we always encourage students to schedule visits. We offer them both virtually and in person on a limited basis. If you are able to travel near the Chicagoland area, we would love for you to see campus and get a feel for things, even though it's a little bit quieter this time of year than we normally like, but also to connect with your admission counselor. I work with a number of students from Tennessee, Ohio, Kentucky, and a lot of our East Coast states, but we have students, like I said, from across the country and around the world. And if you hail from one of those other places, there may be another member of our admission team for you to get in touch with, and we would love to connect and get started and learn more about you. You've heard a lot about Lake Forest. We really want to hear each of you as a student, how your college search is going and what we can share with you about us.
Can I ask one quick question
Absolutely.
about financial aid and scholarships? Can you tell us a little bit about those things?
I'm glad you asked, because I always save a couple slides at the end here. So first off, in terms of merit scholarship at Lake Forest, one thing that we really have tried to do is increase the level of transparency that we offer at the college. So we actually publish the grid you see here on our website for a merit scholarship. And what I tell students is that you may not want to interpret as the word of the law, but it's meant to be a really useful tool to help families not only understand what our typical applicant profile is, but also to get a sense of where they may perhaps fall in terms of merit scholarship. In the case of students that apply test optional, don't worry, you're also eligible to earn the maximum level of scholarship that we offer too. We just instead provide different weighting on your high school transcript in addition to your required interview as part of that process. In terms of financial aid and need-based aid, all of our international students, we do require to fill out the CSS profile. We encourage all domestic students to fill out the FAFSA. And I said at the beginning, if you're going to enroll a student body that is almost 35% Pell eligible, it is an indicator that you are willing to really go out and meet student needs. So we do not meet full need for every student admitted to Lake Forest College, period, but we are known to be incredibly sensitive to student needs and willing to work with them, particularly if students are admissible and feel they can really be a great fit on campus. There's definitely a mutual advantage to working well with families there. So we also, and additionally, we're also aware the FAFSA is not always the most accurate tool with quantifying families' ability to pay. So we are willing, of course, to make revisions where appropriate too.
And so going back to the interview piece, is that something that they're doing once they've submitted their applications? Where does that fall in the timeline?
So that's a great question. So students are welcome really to interview at any part of the admission process where they feel ready and comfortable. Okay. If students apply test optional, they are required to interview before their application can be considered complete, but they can interview well before they submit their application, and the write-ups and the forms will sit on file with them when their application does come through.
Great, thank you.
Of course. And we do encourage all students to interview, not just for the test optional students, which make up typically in most years about 20% of our incoming class applies test optional. We expect that will grow this year, and we welcome those students too.
Great, thank you. And so if students are interested in setting up those interviews, do they do that just through the finding their staff member online and reaching out to them that way?
That's a great way to do it. And actually on our website, at the counselor profile, we actually all publish virtual chat times as well during the week. So students can actually like if you want to chat with me, you can sign up for a slot either by Zoom or by phone, and we can set up a time that way.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And I agree with you on your point of encouraging all students to do interviews. I think one of the things that I have said to students over the years is that the interview should actually feel very much more like a conversation as opposed to just, someone firing questions at you and you giving, almost scripted responses. I think it's an opportunity for the students to learn a lot more also about the school that they're potentially, planning to attend.
I could not agree more. Frankly, my favorite interviews are the ones that at times I've forgotten I'm even interviewing the student, and I'm really
Yep.
just getting to know them and having a friendly conversation. And that's really what we hope. And it's not super long. You typically, most interviews will run about a half an hour, so you're not giving up your whole day. You don't need to put on a suit and tie necessarily. You can be
Yeah.
comfortable and approach us as you are.
That's great. Well, I have one final question, and this is more of my fun question for you is,
Okay.
what have you found to be your favorite Lake Forest tradition? What is something that they do on
Ooh.
campus that is a great tradition?
So I'm going to mention two, one big and one small. So number one is homecoming at Lake Forest is enormous. So unfortunately, homecoming is postponed this year, like a lot of fall events, sadly. But it is a one weekend every October that functions as sort of the big football game in the fall, but also our alumni reunion weekend. And we'll average almost 10,000 fans at our home football game. So tons of people come. It is a giant party atmosphere. There is a literal parade with floats where they close the streets on Sheridan Road, which runs along the length of campus. So it is such a fun event to see so many folks, young and old, coming back to campus and reliving their college years and celebrating with friends. And you really see kind of the community come alive in a special way that doesn't happen every day. So that's my big event. And then my smaller event is a really adorable tradition that I've noticed in the dining hall where all of the dining staff at Lake Forest are the most beloved people on our campus, perhaps. And I'm going to give a shout out to one gentleman named Ruben who runs the sandwich line in the cafeteria. Ruben is known, like how many celebrities are known by one name, Oprah, Beyonce. I put Ruben in that category of people at Lake Forest who are true campus celebrities who are universally beloved. And it's sort of the people like that are so celebrated on campus would make the college really special too.
I love that. I feel like I want to just come back to campus just so that I can come in and meet Ruben. Oh my gosh.
Ruben.
You guys
He
need
makes
to
a great
profile
sandwich,
him
too.
on your website or something. Does he make a great Reuben sandwich?
He makes many, many great sandwiches. Yes. He's no one-trick pony.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing those. I really appreciate it. Is there anything I didn't ask? Anything I didn't ask about that you wanted to share?
That's great. No, I think you had wonderful questions. I think one thing I always add is that, we as an admissions office, we seek to take care of students really well too. So for any students watching this, the admission process, and this is something that I personally add, can feel very opaque. It can feel very much like the admissions officers over there sort of looking into a crystal ball. We really want to break this down and make this more of a partnership. So when I engage in the admissions process, I really want to get to know the families, and I don't want them to feel shy about contacting me. My job is to assist them in the college search process, and that can mean Lake Forest being their dream school, and it can mean learning another school can be their fit as well. And so that's the mindset that I would argue that all of my colleagues apply at Lake Forest as well.
That's great. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today and share more about Lake Forest. And anyone that has questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the staff there. They are, I'm sure, equally as welcoming and friendly as Franklin. And you can find who your admission counselors on the website there. So thank you again, Franklin, and good luck to you guys this year. And, I can't say enough good things about what I already knew about Lake Forest, and I actually learned quite a bit today too. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having me, Kristina. Students, best of luck on your application season. We hope to see you this fall and look forward to reading your applications.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.